What's up, guys? Sci-Fi Guy 2094. I'm going to be talking about 2004's The Descent in this video. So, this movie I never saw back in the day. Just watched this one last night with a couple friends. This movie is pretty good. It centers around a group of women who basically go down into this underground cave, and they're wanting to explore it. Well, the lead the lead chick who basically arranged all of this wanted to basically be the first one to discover this cave and explore it, and hey, even name it after one of them. But she basically kind of deceived the rest of the group because they were under the assumption that this was a cave that had been explored and it was mapped and people had been there before. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So she basically lied to everyone, and this was an uncharted cave. So once they get down into the cave, they lower themselves with their rock climbing gear and all that stuff, their cave gear. And once they get down there, there's something like really crazy that happens off the bat. No pun intended. But as soon as they get down there, you just have a ton of bats just like fly out, and it freaks one of them out. And I mean, that's just, if that's not a sign that something bad may happen, then I don't know what is. But, they see this cave, and, you can't really see much down there. So they've got all their lights and everything. And, they're trying to find a way through the cave. They want to conquer this cave. They find this small opening, and unfortunately, there's like a cave in, right? So there's a bunch of rocks that fall, and then they can't go back out the way they came in. So they have to find another way out. And then it takes kind of like a horror turn, like actual horror, because, and I'm saying an actual horror turn because to me, being stuck down in a cave that's not been explored, to me, that's already scary enough. I mean, to me, you can make a horror movie just out of that. Just being down there. There's no sunlight. You can't see anything, hardly. Claustrophobia sets in. Bizarre. Just absolutely terrifying to me. But then what happens is one of the women sees something. She's like, "Oh, I saw a man. Like, there's somebody down here." And then the other girl's like, "No, there's no one down here. You didn't see anything." And so they keep kind of seeing things and then hearing things. It turns out there are these people, we're going to call them people down there. And so these people are basically living in the caves, but they're not normal people. So they kill one of them, and then they're able to, well, they ask the, one of them is like, I don't know, some type of professor or whatever. And she's basically like, well, yeah, they're humanoid, but they basically evolved down here to live in complete darkness, so they're completely blind. They hunt by sound, aka echolocation. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, yeah, like I said, it takes a horror turn because you see more of these creatures, these human-ish type creatures. And basically, they're not evil. They need food, right? Like, these are people that evolved to live in caves, so they're pale, they have like white skin, they're blind, and they're pretty ferocious and strong. And, obviously they know how to navigate these tunnels. So the women in the group are at the biggest disadvantage because they can't see what's going on down there. Obviously the creatures in the cave are blind, but they have evolved to navigate and hunt in complete total darkness. So these women have to find out how to not only survive these creatures that are trying to kill them and eat them, but they also have to get out of the cave. So I feel like as like a horror aspect, that's it's kind of like, man, it's almost like you're getting attacked from both sides, because it's not like you can just run away, from these creatures. You have to navigate through this cave. And yeah, so I thought it was a pretty good movie. You have some pretty brutal kills, so sometimes when the creatures come out of nowhere, they just like attack, and you're not ready for it because you can't see them coming because it's a dark cave. Um, this one lady, she was being attacked by these creatures, and it was just so frantic. And when one of her friends walks up behind her, she takes one of these. They're like one of these little climbing things, and she just like plunges it into her neck, and she thought it was a creature, and then she kills her accidentally. And there was one girl who she fell down like a she fell down a hole, she broke her leg, and then they had to all help her. And they just get picked off one by one, and then you have the tension between the some of the remaining survivors, because the one chick who actually got stabbed in the neck by the the actress who it's the character who basically planned out this whole trip to go diving in this little cave thing. So she survived the attack by her, and she's like, don't trust her because she's the one that did this. And she has like her little necklace, right? Because as she was dying, she was like holding her necklace. So she has the necklace, and she's like, yeah, don't trust her. And so again, then there's that tension between like the surviving members. So anyway, I think this movie was pretty good. Definitely some good horror aspects to this. Seeing those creatures move around like that and total darkness. When we did get a glimpse of them, it was pretty darn creepy. Just seeing those things move around, and they're just so weird because they're humans, but they evolved in a different way. They're just completely animalistic. So that was really scary. And then you have the whole claustrophobia aspect, which is like, that's a lot of tension built up, because around every corner could be one of these things. You never know. So that was a really great aspect of this film as well. So, and then it's a survival film as well. So you have like a horror and it's survival. So pretty good stuff. I really like The Descent. I would give it a solid 8 out of 10.